Hi everyone. Welcome to this Facebook Live about how to plan an intimate elopement wedding. I have an amazing special guest called Nadia, and she is from Amulet Weddings Events. And yeah, so sorry we're a little bit late, had a few technical issues, obviously. But yeah, really glad that you're watching, and we will have time for Q&A at the end. So if you want to post any questions in there, we've had a few sent through already. Sorry, I had something wrong there. Sorry, yeah, so we've had a few sent through already. So we'll ask Nadia those. But yeah, if you've got any questions, please ask them. So we wanted to come on live just to talk about, obviously we're in a really difficult time at the moment, and lots of weddings are being scheduled, rescheduled, cancelled. So we just wanted to come on and just share a little bit of information, because we've had quite a few questions coming through, quite a few in my elopement wedding group. We've had a few questions about people struggling where to start with planning and things like that. So we thought we just come on and Nadia can just go through some really kind of key points and key questions that people are struggling with at the moment with rescheduling and planning weddings. So now Nadia specialises in destination weddings, and she works and elopements, and she works in countries such as, let me get the list, so she really specialises in Iceland, Finland, Austria, Ireland and Switzerland, and of course the UK. She's been planning weddings and events for 10 years, and her weddings are absolutely incredible. So I've followed Nadia's work for at least 2 or 3 years, and yeah, I just love watching all her amazing updates of all the weddings that she's done. They're just really lovely. So go and check out, I'll post the details to her website and social media, so go and check them out, they're amazing. So yeah, so Nadia's been rescheduling many of her weddings for 2020, and so yeah, I just thought she could just talk a little bit more about that today. So I've got a list of questions here, and I'm going to read them off because I'll probably say them wrong if I don't. So Nadia, would you like to introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about your business, and yeah, just go for it.
Yeah, of course. Hi, Umbo. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to come and have a chat with you today. It's really nice to have a little discussion with you, and also just to help reassure couples and families and everything out there, because like, as you say, it is quite a stressful time. So yeah, I'm Nadia, owner and wedding planner of Amulet Weddings and Events, and I specialise in organising elopements and destination weddings, as you've said, across Alps, Iceland, Lapland, Scandinavia and many more countries. I've been in the events industry since I left uni, so 13 odd years ago. So I used to travel across Europe, organising conferences and corporate events and doing product launches and things, which is what got me into it. And I've always had a passion for bringing people together and, you know, really seeing that genuine joy of loved ones connecting and celebrating. So it just seemed natural to go into wedding planning for me, really. I'm quite a spiritual person. I love nature. I love exploring new places in the world. So destination wedding planning was, you know, what I always wanted to do. So yeah, I started planning within the UK for the first kind of 5 years, and then over the past 3 years I've moved into intimate destination weddings and elopements. So I don't do as much in the UK as I used to, but you know, I really specialise kind of on the destination side a bit more now.
Cool. Yeah. Oh wow. So yeah, we as the Liberty Well Photo and Film Collective, we photograph weddings. We photograph them in Europe, South Africa, and we cover things from almost 3-day weddings to really tiny elopements with just a bride and groom. And I think I've been a witness about 20 times. Yeah, it's really funny because they just use the photographer and the venue owner. It's really funny. But yeah, we mainly work in very hot countries. So what made you choose and kind of specialize in the colder climates?
Yeah, sure. I do get asked that quite a lot. So, and I do love that niche. I studied geology when I was younger, and I've always been fascinated with, dramatic landscapes, nice scenery, and living in the countryside myself. I've always had a love for being outdoors and places of natural beauty like that. So waterfalls, caves, mountains, lakes, anything really I absolutely love. So yeah, I think that was the personal draw there. I've never coached that well in the heat, so as much as I love a beach, I'm not, not so good. I'm more comfortable in the cooler climates where I can wrap up and go out in the snow. And yeah, I just love all the excursions and activities that are available in the countries I work in too. So I've really kind of enjoyed doing that, and there's loads I can offer my couples as well.
Ah, it's really cool. Yeah, I studied conservation biology, so
Wow.
that's why I love nature and destination weddings and traveling, because I just studied environments around the world. Yeah, so that's
It's
really
funny,
cool.
isn't it, how people kind
Yeah,
of get into, from past learnings.
yeah. Oh, cool. That's really good. So yeah, where are most of your couples from? Are they from that destination, or are they from the UK, or?
No, so I'd probably say it's about a 50-50 split from the UK and the US,
Oh,
really.
wow.
So I do get, particularly in like the Alps and stuff, we have a lot of US clients that want to move over there, and then other countries are from the UK or the UK based ones. Yeah.
Ah, cool. That's really good. Okay, so next question. So, I've got a number of wedding planning friends who have been absolutely so busy trying to reschedule all of their weddings in a really short space of time. Obviously, for every time there's an announcement, they just seem to be fully just working around the clock, and obviously booking weddings for the following 2 years as well. So I just wondered if you could just tell us kind of your kind of COVID-19 journey and how that's affected you and your clients, and the wedding bookings that you've had, and kind of how you're going forward with that.
Yeah, of course. It's certainly been an interesting experience. I think it was mid-March after I had my last wedding when things kind of shut down over here. So then those first couple of weeks were really confusing for couples, because people were still a bit unsure, I think, of whether things could go ahead, how far we should postpone or cancel. So most of my weddings were kind of early summer, so May, June time. I had a lot kind of ready to go, only the last little details to tick off, really. So unfortunately, when that happened, we were like, okay, they're definitely not going to go ahead. So we did have to kind of completely turn things around. And yeah, it's been time consuming, and it's disheartening having to go back and change everything. But equally, my couples have been really calm, really understanding. They're mindful that because it's a different destination, a lot of properties are closing, the suppliers are closing, they're not replying to emails as quickly as perhaps they would have been if they were in season and working. So it's just been a tricky time, and like I say, time consuming, and just making sure that everything's rearranged. But I'm actually supposed to be in Austria today for a wedding.
Oh.
Today. So yeah, I realized, like, I was talking to my couple, I was like, yeah, so very, very sad, but yeah, just surreal. But the suppliers involved have all been really fantastic. Everyone's happy to postpone till next year. There's whilst there's been a little bit of delay, everyone's managed to arrange things quite easily without any stress. So I think that's been reassuring for a lot of the couples.
Oh wow, that sounds like you've been busy doing all of the rescheduling. So how has it worked in different countries? Have you found that each country has because obviously shutdown was different in each country, so how has it worked working in those different countries? Has there been any differences between the rules, or?
Yeah, I think, like I say, initially when the lockdown first happened, in Austria, for example, everything was just closed, especially the ski resorts and things. So it was a case of, no, don't know, we're just going to have to kind of hold fire till we know what's going on. Had another wedding in May, had another wedding in Croatia. So they were quite quick, actually, and very organised in saying no. And the bride was coming from Australia, actually. So
wow.
She'd been reading up a lot about quarantine, getting back into to Australia if you did travel within Europe and certain things like that. So she was quite instantly like, okay, no, let's just reschedule it. So it's been quite similar across most countries, especially because I work in Europe. So I don't know, perhaps, a bit further afield might be a little bit more, things involved.
I suppose it's different for your couples coming from different countries as well, isn't it? Because the lockdown's been different there.
Well, exactly,
Gosh, yeah. So what's your main tip or kind of advice for brides who are either thinking about planning a destination wedding, or who are thinking, I know lots of people have rescheduled already, but obviously we're not sure what's happening towards the end of this year. I know there's talk about, having only elopement happening this summer, but obviously we don't even know that yet. So what's your advice for brides kind of at different stages of their wedding planning, destination, but also UK?
Yeah, so I would probably say, if you're initially starting and you're right at the very start of your planning process, you haven't looked into anything yet, but you are keen on a destination wedding, for example, it's important to sit down with your fiance and just discuss your priorities from the start. Think about, the country that you do want to go to, logistics, how far places are away. It's similar to what, you would do in any other situation, but equally looking at those countries' lockdown rules and restrictions, and if there's any kind of signs of when things will be able to confirm a bit further on. So in terms of any planning situation, I think it's just really important to sit down and talk about your priorities and your vision. So what's important to the both of you. Guest numbers as well are very important, because that's going to be a huge factor in the location or your venue of choice. Budget as well is going to be a huge factor. So you've really got to consider all of those things before you really even start looking at somewhere and setting a date. So it's just being mindful of everything that's in advance, and then with everything that's happening on top of that, I would definitely say hiring a planner who knows that country once you have decided on that is really valuable, just especially because there's so much uncertainty and a lack of clarity in the moment in people's lives and everything that's going on. I think having that assurance of working with somebody who knows the suppliers, who's got that kind of confidence that you can connect with, and they'll be able to give you the advice and the support that you need, just to ensure that everything you have in your dreams does come true.
How are you as a planner finding out about the government restrictions in different countries then?
Mainly in terms of weddings and numbers and things like that. It's a case of just speaking to the locals mainly that I've found. Or speaking to the local hotels, speaking to the local registrars, contacts that I have in those countries, just to gauge what's going on, as well as looking at the news and websites and things like that as well. But I find you get most real information from the people that are in those countries, that you can really find out what's going on there. Yeah.
Oh gosh, wow. Yeah, it's great to have those connections, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So what's the next question? Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's good to kind of chat about everything.
Yeah, so I don't know if you covered it in the previous question, but what advice would you give to people in the UK if there's anything different than the destination?
In terms of planning a wedding in the UK?
Yeah.
It's, again, I think quite similarly, it's just looking at the situation in your area, having a look at what is and isn't allowed at the moment, having a little think about your guest list, like we were saying. If if it is important for you to do something towards the end of this year, it probably is going to need to be more intimate than what perhaps you'd have wanted in 2021 or 2022, for example. So I think speaking to venues about that as well, because they'll be mindful of what they can and can't allow, as well as all the other restrictions that are going to come in place, like hygiene and safety and things with caterers and stuff. So whilst that's not as fun as some of the other planning elements, I think it's just really key to have a look at your guest list, and if if there are any doubts or uncertainty, perhaps leave it a few months, see what the situation's like, and then, you know, or even provisionally put a date on hold with a venue, or see if they're open to doing that, if there's any flexibility, for example. So I think it's suppliers are being you know, flexible in these times, because we don't really know what's happening, and especially in the UK, because things have been quite bad. So I think it is just talking to people, communicating, prioritizing, and then, you know, taking those necessary steps to ensure that you can, you know, still get the wedding that you want.
So also, if people have never thought about having an elopement, so, you know, they've always wanted a big wedding, but I know some people just want to get married. So when I married my husband, we couldn't get married legally in the venue that we wanted. So we got married legally actually about 5 weeks before our wedding. So it was just us. We got married, and we're Christian, so we didn't want to live together until we were married, but we did that, and then we had our big wedding. And for us it was really, really special, and it was the only way we could do it, so we didn't think about any option. But what would you say to couples who would just think, no, I want my big wedding? You know, how you know, what would you say is like the reason for considering an elopement if they've never considered it? Or, you know, why do you love elopements so much?
I think elopements are amazing. Elopements and intimate weddings are just so personal, they're so romantic, they've got a real kind of relaxed vibe about them as well. So I think it's just lovely that the couple can be together and just celebrate their love, and, you know, have those special moments together and capture it on film, and, you know, photography and things like that. So they've got all of that. If they haven't considered it before, but, you know, they're feeling quite disheartened that they haven't got their big summer wedding, you know, this year or towards the end of the year, then I definitely think elopements and intimate weddings towards the latter end of the year will start picking up, or even in the start of next year, but if people are still a little bit unsure of the situation. So I think it's a really nice option, and it's just changing people's views or opinions on that if they hadn't thought about it before, because it's a lovely experience for everybody. And I find the intimate weddings I work on, it's really nice for everybody to come together. They get to do activities, they get to enjoy each other's company. It's like having a little holiday with your family. You know, it's that real kind of intimate vibe, which you don't always get at a big wedding, or it's a little bit harder to go around and chat to everybody and make sure that you've spoke to all your aunties and uncles and things. So it is lovely. And again, elopements, just the two of you, you can go and do something that you've always wanted to do. You can add the wedding in, you can have a nice ceremony together in a beautiful location of your choice. So it's definitely an option now, I think, for more and more couples. And again, you're getting to kind of still have that wedding date or year that you wanted, if that was important to you.
So what would your I know elopements and intimate weddings obviously have different amount of people, so what would your typical, or not typical, but how would you describe what your elopement or intimate wedding would look like how many people, what the kind of schedule would be, you know, is it one day, is it half a day, is it 2 days, you know, how would that kind of look?
Yeah, sure. So starting with elopements, just the couple, or maybe kind of like a couple more people there, about 4 or 5 max. The way I work is I'll plan their itinerary from door to door. So if they're, for example, going to Iceland for a week, I'll help them with their itinerary from day one. So it would just be with looking after kind of any excursions, activities, accommodation, where they're going, what they're doing. And then on the wedding day, it's usually very relaxed. So they'll wake up in their hotel, we'll have a hair and makeup artist do their hair and makeup, they'll have, you know, a few drinks if they choose to, or a cup of tea, and then, you know, have that time with each other getting ready. Some of them help each other get ready, so it's all very, you know, informal but still romantic and relaxed, and still a special occasion. Still have lovely flowers, bouquets, buttonholes, and then they'll go and have their ceremony at the location of their choice, which could be, if they wanted it legal, it could be in a church, or civil in the town hall, or you know, in certain countries, they're happy to do legal ceremonies outside, or you do a symbolic ceremony outside as well. So they're all the kind of things we do. And then usually the photographer then whisks them off somewhere exciting or somewhere, you know, beautiful for some lovely photographs and film and footage and things. So they'll go and have a few hours doing that, having a bit of fun, and then come back, get comfy, chill out, you know, have a nice evening together, and then just relax and, you know, do the rest of their trip. So yeah.
Cool, that sounds really good.
Yeah.
So what's the main difference with the elopements and the intimate weddings? Is it just the number of people, or is it the activities? Or
yeah, so intimate weddings, I would say anything up to about 30, 40 maybe at a push. But most of mine are around about the 20, 30 mark. So that's kind of, you know, immediate family, close friend, bridal party, you know, people, especially people coming from the US that are happy to travel, you know, that far with the couple to do that. And again, it's looking after all of their logistics, anything that they need to do in the days before or the days after, you know, looking after people that perhaps haven't traveled or are feeling a little bit kind of unsure about things. And then the wedding day, it's a little bit more formal in terms of, you know, setup, because we'll still do a really nice tablescape, have really nice kind of decorations, flowers, and, you know, hair and makeup for all of the bridal party. So it's, you know, it's similar to a larger wedding in that respect. So if they've got a bigger wedding party involved, then we do a bit more of the formalities. But again, it depends on the couple. Some couples just want to keep it really chilled and just get ready on their own, and others want to still have that tradition and, you know, all of those elements, which either way, I think it's nice. It just depends what they choose, really. Yeah.
What's been your most, I'm sure you've got loads to choose from, but what's been your most exciting and amazing kind of wedding adventure that you've organised?
I'd probably say last January, I had an amazing couple from the US, and they got married in Iceland in a cave on the Black Beach, and it was winter, so it was snowing. So the Black Beach wasn't actually black; it was white. So it was covered in snow. So we stayed in this quite remote kind of hotel that had these gorgeous little yellow chalets and huts and things for everyone to stay in. And then we took everybody out, even 90-year-old grandma, on these like monster trucks to get them to the beach. The weather was horrendous, like driving out, just so much snow. I think one of the vans we had some issues with and had to dig it out and all sorts. And then, yeah, an absolutely beautiful cave where they had the ceremony. We had like candles, we had, you know, a musician there. It was really romantic. And then we went kind of and had some lunch, went to see a few more scenic spots, waterfalls and churches and things, and lovely like other areas, and then went back. Everyone got freshened up and warmed up, and then yeah, had a really nice meal in the evening and nice speeches. I was in tears like I usually am. But again, because they're a lot more intimate, you get that rawness from, you know, people, and it's yeah, really lovely. So that was a good one. But equally, you know, all the weddings I've had across Austria and Alps and everywhere, they've been absolutely amazing adventures. I could tell you many stories, but I won't bore you.
Yeah, they sound magical. It makes me want to elope. We had a really big wedding, and I really wanted to have everyone special there, and it was a lot of people, but I wished I'd either had a 3-day wedding where we could have enjoyed like a meal before and then a day afterwards just talking to everyone, because you just don't get to catch up. And then I was so worried about, you know, talking to everyone and making sure that I'd got round everyone. I kind of didn't really, I did enjoy my day, but it was a busy day. So yeah.
But then that's what's good about if you do go away or you do have a smaller elopement, you can still do all of that. Like you can still have a big reception when you get home, which is what most of my couples do anyway, really. They go back and they'll just have a big party, you know, they're already married, or they'll do the legalities when they get back. And it's just a more relaxed way of doing it, I think, personally.
You're selling it to me. I might do that for my anniversary.
Do
you do anniversary?
Renew your vows, of course. Parties and intimate kind of getaways, anything like that.
It sounds great. Okay, so anything else you can think of about elopements or people in this situation that, you know, I haven't asked about?
Not off the top of my head. I would just say really consider what's important to you, I think, not everybody else. And it's okay to do that. It's okay for it to be kind of your day and what you want it to be. And, you know, especially with the ceremony, it can be a really nice you know, moment for the two of you. You can write your own personal vows, you can go off and do things on your own, things that you probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to do with a bigger wedding. So I do think it's a very good way just to look back on why you're actually together, why you want to marry this person, why you're actually doing it, and having those experiences, creating those memories, and just enjoying all of that in an element and in an area that you want to do it. It's can't be anything more romantic, really.
Wow, sounds amazing. So how can people get hold of you? What's the best way to get hold of you? We'll obviously share your links in the show notes, but you know, if what's the best way? You know, do you prefer a phone call? Do you prefer an Instagram message?
Yeah, well, usually I've got kind of on my website, you can just contact me quite easily directly through there, and then I'll always get back on email within 24 hours. Again, if you want to contact me on Instagram or Facebook, that's absolutely fine too. But usually on email, and I'll get back to you, and then, you know, we'll arrange a quick call or a Skype, just have a little chat about ideas and what you're thinking about, and then go from there, really. Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll go and check the messages in a couple, see if there's any questions in a second. But yeah, so just while I'm doing that, what's your best and worst thing about lockdown?
Do you know what? I've not found it too bad, and I sometimes feel guilty saying that, because everybody's kind of really you know, struggling a lot with it, and it has been hard in terms of adjusting, getting used to stuff. But I've really enjoyed just time with my family, as everybody does. We lead such busy lives working. My husband works really hard. You know, the kids go to nursery, and I'm, you know, constantly trying to juggle everything. Whereas we've actually stopped. We've enjoyed time together. We'll go on a nice long walk every day. I'm very lucky that we've got the countryside like right on our doorstep. So, you know, I can cross my street and I'm in the woods and I can stay there for hours. So that's been really, really good. Worst thing is probably trying to juggle working from home and having kind of people around when I'm not usually used to that. And also missing my mum. I'm like FaceTime every day, but I just want a hug from my mum and to get a takeaway coffee on the drive over and chill out with her. So yeah, missing my mum and dad, and family and friends and things like that. But you know, it's like I say, we are very fortunate, and I am used to kind of this chilled lifestyle anyway, so it's not been too difficult for me. I think if I was living in a city or somewhere a bit busier, I would have found it harder, like I'm sure people have.
Yeah, I think we've been really lucky. So we're in Plymouth in Devon, and we're not exactly in the country, but we are quite sparsely populated in our city, and or it's a large town technically. But yeah, I just feel so thankful that we've got so much green space and we're near the sea, and we can just walk to the beach. Well, it's not a beach, it's like a pebbled area, but yeah, I just can't imagine living in a city in flats and things. It would just be so much more difficult.
Putting your feet in the sea is there just to release all that stress from the day.
It's absolutely freezing though. So we went the other day, we were like, sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble with getting these things up, the messages. Let's have a look. I know we got sent one earlier. Where did I put it?
I think you touched on one about where couples start.
That was it. Yeah, but we already talked about that. So yeah, I think, someone wants to plan a destination wedding and they just don't know where to start. They don't know how to choose the country, and they don't know. They just don't know where to start. So just for someone who hasn't even got a country in mind, you know, literally they're like, I want a destination wedding or elopement. It's elopement actually, but they just don't know where to start. So what would you, what would you advise on that?
It's so hard, I think, when, especially in today's age with social media, there are so many images of so many countries and so much. It can be quite overwhelming, I think, when you're looking for a place, because, like you say, you don't know where to start. And if you haven't got a strong urge for a country or a place, then it can be tricky. So I would say keep researching, keep looking at photographs. If you'll know kind of if you're, for example, wanting a beach wedding, wanting a mountain wedding or something like that, or again, if you're not 100% sure on that yet, perhaps look at some images. I find sending people venues or options or photographs of places sometimes evokes an emotion, like a good or bad, so you can kind of have that instinct really of whether, oh yeah, that's me, or oh no, that's not it. And if it's not it, just keep going. If it's still not it, just keep going. It will come, it will, and everyone's different. I've had some couples that have seen like a venue and location and been like, yep, that's it, done.
Wow.
I've had others that are like, oh yeah, oh no, and then you keep going. But then that's all part of the process, and it's it's the best bit, so enjoy it, don't put too much pressure on it. And just keep looking at images, locations, different places until you get that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling.
Oh, and what do you think about logistics? Because I know with destination weddings, we've had couples who ended up, mainly the larger ones, because logistics for everyone to get there and flights out of certain cities at certain times of year. So what would you say? Would you say that people pick elopements venues because of and locations due to logistics, or does that just go out the window and they just choose with the one that looks the prettiest, or
I definitely think it's an important factor. I think elopements perhaps not so much, depending on budget, because you are just the two of you, so you have got that flexibility. But if you are bringing over grandparents or families, people with small children, people that haven't traveled before, it is always mindful of where's the nearest international airport, for example, how far away that is from the venue. So yeah, luckily in most of the countries I work in the Alps, you're not too far from an international airport, and then like an hour's drive from a beautiful like resort area. So I think that's quite a manageable time. I think anything over about a 2-hour drive, for example, from an airport is a little bit tougher. But again, it really just depends on how flexible you think your guests will be. And there's nothing wrong with just asking them that question as well, saying, hey, look, we are thinking of this place. Would you be comfortable doing that? Would you be comfortable traveling that far? And in certain ways it's good to go off the beaten track a little bit, because you can find some amazing places. Costs can sometimes be a bit cheaper if you're not right in the tourist areas. So there's definitely pros and cons of both.
Wow, sounds amazing, exciting. I love doing destination weddings, just because the traveling and seeing places that I would never go to on a holiday. I just think that and I think most of my brides just must be so similar to me, because everywhere they get married I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I got married here.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same. But then that's nice, because it shows you're passionate about what you do. I think, and that's what couples want to see our passion and how much we love what we do.
Cool. Oh, it's so exciting. It's so lovely talking to you.
So that's
the end of my questions. And so I know there's been lots of questions about elopements, so I'll just I'll be sharing this video in elopement groups and things like that, so people who haven't watched it live will be able to catch up. So yeah, I'm sure there'll be lots of questions coming your way soon.
I look forward to it.
But yeah, no, it's been really great talking to you, and I can't wait to see your weddings when they start back up again. Yeah, okay, well, have a great week, and
thank you, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.